go a little wider. Brings ball back for Marshall. The footwork. Benji Marshall. Now the speed. The footwork again. Away from Peachy. Passes without looking. Away for Richards. Back to Fitzhenry. That is as good as you will see.
Welcome back, ladies and gents, to the Round 15 preview on the SuperCoach Tragics podcast. I'm your host, Dan. With me today, we have the man, the legend, the king of the rungers, and that is Burgs, mate. Burgs, bloody good to have you on, mate. I've been listening to you guys for ages, and so good to have you on finally.
Nah, thanks for having me, boys. I love getting out in amongst today. Hopefully I don't ruin it for you, that's all.
If you've listened to our podcast on a regular basis, we try to outsource our credibility because we don't have any ourselves. So we always get guests on and they make us look better. So
that's
right. That's what we do, mate. So it's a compliment, really, when we get people on. So
I'll try and be on my best then.
Well, I will say one thing, mate. I wasn't overly excited, but I'm sure you were pretty excited about watching the Bulldogs kill Para on the weekend, mate, or Monday.
Bro, that was probably look, in all honesty, I do feel for anyone who was bet on that game, you know what I mean? Because I know people that lost fucking lots of money just due to Parramatta thinking the Dogs were going for a training session. Dogs turned up for the first. That was probably the best game I've seen him play in 3 fucking years. And that was because we backed it in with attack and defence. Like normally it's our defence that got us home a couple of times last year, or an attacking game. And we never had both. And that was the first time in years I've seen it coherent. Don't expect it this week. You know, like it was a big ask to back shit up these days, especially for us. But good on him, man. Mick Potter's got him in a good spot. So in saying that, that makes a couple of people a bit relevant for SuperCoach too if they're going to play with attack and flair. So
totally agree. I will say one thing. One of my mates, he runs the Eel Electric podcast, the podcast for Parramatta Eels. Benny and his son Fletch. If you guys think you're a fan of your team, Fletch, the 11-year-old little boy, mate, bloody hell, he loves that Parramatta Eel side. And he was a no-show on their podcast this week. They say he was at camp, but his dad was not very happy, old Benny. And he said it as well. He said straight out that it was probably their best game they've had since 2014 as a whole game. And I think that's pretty close to being right. It was good to watch.
Well, you know what? Pangai was good to watch. Wasn't good for SuperCoach, but for me, he was way more involved than his SuperCoach output. But he brought the aggression, and I think once you bring the aggression, if someone can bring it and knock some people off their game, which Parramatta plays a very clean game, there's not many grubs in amongst it, if you know what I mean. So if you get under the clean skin, mate, they tend to react a bit worse than someone who's a grub and don't give a fuck if doesn't care if you're up under their skin, you know. So it was just a good game to watch. It was good for me anyway. I loved it. Like. But yeah, I still not. I haven't got the hide to give it to anyone.
Take it while you can. No, it probably won't last. So in saying that, I have tipped him this week as well. So go Bulldogs. How you going, SuperCoach wise this year, mate?
Lousy. Everything I've done's gone to shit. Like I bought in Nath top dollar, bought in Talakai semi top dollar. There's a couple of others I brought in. I missed the boat on a couple as well. And it's been my own fault. I can exactly pinpoint places where I should have jumped on others when I jumped on other players, and it's just derailed my season all year. So I'm sitting about 22,000, but I've still got a trade boost, and I've still got 15 trades, and I think I'm headed in the right direction. So I'm not too fussed about overall or anything like that, but in a couple of head-to-heads, I might be able to sneak home. So that's where I'm at.
That's good, mate. It's not someone else here that's a head-to-head player as well. Makes me feel more at home. So, like I said, I'm ranked way lower than you are, mate. I'm not even close to that. I'm actually around the 39,000 mark. I'm just, but in saying that, the head-to-head that I'm keen on, that I'm going for, besides the round 13 bye round, which I didn't care about, I've won 4 in a row. So that's all I'm worried about with my head-to-head. So, yeah.
Well, for me, and sorry, just to hog the fucking the airtime. Roscoe hasn't even got introduced yet.
Okay.
But the thing for me is I find you can't do both, guys. Like, it's so hard to maintain head-to-head battles plus get overall glory. For me, you've got to make the decision early. Probably goes on your first 5 to 7 rounds where you're sitting after that, and if you're doing well and have saved trades, at some point you just got to cut your losses. If you're not, like, everyone wants to finish in a nice position, but at some point, head to head, especially if you're invested, it's just good to look at that and not focus on overall at all. Like, just focus on your head to heads, get your wins, and get your alleged cash.
That's good. I 100% agree. In 2020, I came 15th overall, and I started off just doing head to head, and I was winning everything, going hard, winning every single head to head comp, and I was looked up, but I was never outside the top 500. I think I was around the 100 mark, about halfway through, and I was like, I got to go to crack at this now. So I stopped all my head to heads and started focusing on overall halfway through, and I ended up losing the only head to head that counted because of that. Insane. I think the 15th overall really helped my glory there a little bit. So it kind of eases the wound a little bit there as well. So,
well, I think anywhere in the top 100 is good. You know, you're still, even top 1,000, you're still a gun super coach. You know,
that's it.
There's 130,000 people playing. So,
that's it. All right, boys, let's move on. So, with us always, Glenn. Thanks, mate. Welcome back, mate. How was your week?
Yeah, good week, mate. I got 1,322. I moved up 2,500 ranks to 7K. I won all 10 head-to-heads. One of them was Burgs, so I won't brag too much.
no, it was well done.
Yeah, no, it was just lucky. Head-to-heads are lucky. I was just going to say 2 things. One, all of us that have been playing SuperCoach for years, we've been asking for them to create an overall and a head-to-head on the same platform. They can do it for draft. Why can't they do it for SuperCoach? And just quickly, I wanted to mention the dogs. I had Brown and IPAP in that game, and I was kind of hoping for something from Brown. But what I really liked from the dogs in that game was the offloading. They were offloading at will. And I think that when sides do that, it tends to create space.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Especially if you got the 3-man in already making the tackle.
Yep.
Rest of the line's making back, and that miracle ball pops out of nowhere. It just changes the whole structure for the next setup. You know, them 3 dudes are still getting off the ground. 9 times out of 10, you know, another 3 dudes are going in to make the tackle. Leaves the line short, especially if you can get a couple of quick play balls back to back.
Yeah. Anyone that's watched rugby league for years, you look at the games back in the 70s and the 80s, and the offload in the second phase play was the key to success back in that era.
True. That's the only reason I think Power got up against Penrith that time. That offload really bloody put it in our face. I think that exposed a bit of a gap in the Panthers' in the defence. So, yeah. All right, boys. Last but not least, we have Ross back again, mate. Ross, how was your week?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I got 1235, moved up about 2,000 spots, but still down in about 19,000. Could have been better, obviously, like everyone else who captain Hines. Had a feel like a chunk of points on the pine with Mam and Karaz and a few others sitting there. So, but yeah, no, not too bad. I'm pretty happy with my side's at. I've got 15 trades left, 2 boosts to go, about 8 players at the moment for round 17. So keep working that up each week and see how we go.
Sounds good. Yeah. So I got a 1207. Not ideal, but where I am, I managed to go up about 3,000 spots, which is pretty good. I did captain Hines. I thought I was going to be sneaky in my head-to-head and go, I'll captain Cleary now. This would be great. Like, now that he's playing, realised I already played Jerome Hughes because I was concerned Cleary wasn't going to be out, so I couldn't captain Cleary. It was still good that I had him, obviously, but yeah. So
you played Jerome Hughes?
Yeah. Jerome Hughes, the halfback with the Storm.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, for some reason I've got Luai in my head. So, senior moment. Sorry. Hughes.
I was looking at your sideways glance or something. Have I said something wrong here? No, I didn't.
No, I just interpreted wrong.
Oh dear.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I was pretty happy with my team. I'm also I've got about 12 players currently for round 17 that are 10 of which I'd be playing every week now anyway. So I'm actually really happy with that number. I've also got 17 trades left as well for the run home, so I'm still looking pretty good there. I did save a lot of trades when it comes to round 13, so my plan was to build my team up starting early for round 17 and go from there. And it's starting to look pretty good now. I've got a plan to get Puppy back in, and I've got a plan to get Grant back in. And then once that's it, I can just build my team around that and I'll be pretty stoked for the run home. So mainly focusing on building my team for that round 21 to 24 where the head-to-head finals are on, and there's some pretty good draws out there that I'll be focusing on. And a lot of the guys already have. For example, the Sharks have a real good draw. After their terrible run, after from 17 onwards to about 20, they've got a terrible run. But in that final series, they're going to have a really good run for my head-to-head. So looking forward to that.
In amongst that terrible run, but like I find that Talakai does a fair bit of work against them harder sides. I think he scored 100 and something against Melbourne. They tend to go to him a lot more against the harder sides, and he seems to do nothing against sides he should just destroy. So I don't know. Have you sold or he's hung on or he's jumping back on?
Yeah,
I never had it.
I just bought him last. I only just got him last week.
I couldn't afford to get him in, and I just every time I wanted to get him in, I was always he's too expensive, or we'll get dropped soon, and I kept holding off. And then eventually, by the time I was back, I have to get him. He was too expensive, so you know what, I just let him go, and it hurt me a lot. But in saying that, I'm happy to get him back very soon, probably before the round 17 bye, maybe even this week as well. So depending on how his trial goes, whatever his 2 weeks that he might have off, I'm not sure how that's going. So
I think we looked into it. I don't think he's getting the 2 weeks, eh?
No, he's not. That was all crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an error made. They said it's not happening.
No, that's good. I think I might have to get him in this week because I think Aitken to him might be a nice little clean swap.
Yeah.
Which I think
nice.
is a very good option. Yeah. So I'm be pretty happy with that. All right, guys, let's move on to our next section. So we're going to talk about trade-ins and trade-out. So I look at the market. So we'll start with number 1 on the trading list. This one, I'm sure everyone's going to be baffled by this one, is Grant Anderson from the Storm, number 1 on the trading list. I can see a world where when Puppy does come back, that Grant may keep his spot and Laramie loses his spot just because Meany's preferred side is where Laramie is. However, I just don't see it happening. I think Meany's a versatile enough player to replace Grant Anderson. I'll go to you, Glenn. What are your on Grant Anderson trading this week?
Well, in my opinion, this week Pappenhausen would have come into fullback. Meany would have moved to wing, and Anderson would have dropped out. But having said that, look, Ty and others I've spoken with are of the belief that one of the others, like Sevi or Laramia, could have dropped out. I don't like the trade. Having said that, I've made the trade, but I've done that trade because it's enabled me to put 210K aside in the bank, and also brought in another. I already got Graham Ulatalo Talakai, so it's enabled me to also bring in Barnett this round. So look, if you're doing it to save cash to get Pappenhausen like I am, it's not such a bad trade. If you're doing it because you think he's going to play 17, then you might be sorely mistaken.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I want to get that Nuff that's going to play 17, but I can't see anyone being that Nuff at this stage. I don't think there is going to be anyone like that. I think this guy is probably the closest one to it. But even then, there's a lot of risk right now. It's a bit early on to tell. So, and that's if little Puppy even makes the Origin side as well. If Hines are good enough.
He won't now. Puppy has come back with COVID. So he won't be cleared until Tuesday anyway. So he won't, by protocols, be allowed to get into Perth to play.
Yeah, but I was more referring to around 17 when it actually matters to us.
Oh, yeah, he'll play.
Next round doesn't mean anything to us.
Yeah.
As super coaches. So I was more thinking around 17. I just think Hines is more of that 14 or 18, that more versatility in that spot. So I think Puppy misses out anyway. In saying that, he bloody deserves a spot. He's one of the best fullbacks in the game, if not the best at the moment. So I think he deserves a spot. It's just unfortunate that all the spots are taken. So, all right, let's move on to the next traded in on the list. Jason Lolo. I'll go to you, Burgs. Would you be bringing in Lolo this week, mate?
Oh, look, I've had Lolo through the hard times as well, I hung on to Lolo. So look, for me, he's an easy pickup. It's probably the week to get him. He's had back-to-back good scores, so he's about to start going on a run. But I just don't trust Toddy Payton. He had a 19 there. He had a 20-something all within the last 5 to 6 weeks. And it was alarming because the first week it was he's done so well. Let's give him a breather. And then the second week was he's hurt himself. We did hurt himself, you know what I mean? But it's just one of them things. Like towards the back end, if they can't get first, do they start resting him again? I know they can't rest him for 17 if that's what you're looking for him for, because Cotter will be gone, Nanai will be gone, so he plays big minutes for 17. And then if you really want, you can easily sit him there and play him on matchups for the rest of the year. Hasn't scored a try this year, will get one before the year's out.
I think when you say 17, you mean the backup for 18 because I had the buy in 17. So you mean
the 8, like after Origin when Cotter will get a rest because he's just a machine. He should anyway. Nanai hurt himself, so he'll probably get another rest as well. Val probably earn a rest by Origin 3 as well. They're going to have troops missing, you know. So for me, like that's Lolo's time is over this 13 or 12 to 18 period when the blokes are getting ready for Origin and when the blokes are finished on Origin. He seems to always be at his best, you know. And now that he's a dual front rower,
Yeah, I really like. Well, I've had him most of the year, but then over those tough times, I did throw him away. That was basically just I didn't think he was keeper material. And I understand he will be a gun over this period, and that's the case. I reckon he will be. Even this week, Cotter is named at front row. However, they probably will play this for Cotter to give him that rest for Origin as well. So I think you'll see some more similar output this week as you had the last 2 weeks. And like you said, this week's the week to get him. He's got a -5 break even after 2 scores above 80 in a row. So if you are going to get him, this is the week. And I do like the idea of having Lolo as a backup front rower in my team as well. I think he's a top backup front rower. I'm not getting him in because I might get him in maybe later on if he does drop a bit of cash. But I don't think I'm using Max King as my third front rower at the moment, and he's doing a good enough job for me. So.
Can I just say for those who are looking to bring him in this week that they have got a stacked up bench this week too. The Cowboys, they've got Neme, JTB, and Hess on the bench. So I wouldn't be expecting 70 minutes out of him this week with that bench either.
Yeah, it might be a bit of a wait and see there. It might be you might get lucky, you might not, because who knows what's happening on with Payton. So
yeah.
All right, move on to number 3, traded in. Ross, Ezra Mam. Is it too late to jump on Ezra Mam, or would you be still jumping on this week?
Well, I had this discussion with someone else earlier today, and I think for me personally, it's too late. I mean, he's made 137K now, and I looked at his next 2 games. He's got a pretty tough game. He's got Storm, and I can't remember who it is. Yeah. So say he scores average 30 these 2 games, he'll probably only go up about another 60 to 70K maybe, and then he'll start getting high break evens. And for me, I wouldn't be jumping on this week. Like last week was the week, and if he didn't get on, for me, it's just too late. I wouldn't be jumping on him this week.
No, there is a lot of concern about the injuries there as well. Like there's all these halves there that are injured now as well, so he's going to get an extended run in that spot, but how long is that going to last? Like, how often have we had a rib cartilage injury from someone that's said that be maybe 3-4 weeks and he's come back the week after as well? You never know. It's all about pain management with A-Ray as well.
Well, I know there was rumours going around today that Reynolds could miss up to a month too, so that could be good for him as well. But I don't know. Look. There's still cash to be made, obviously, but is there enough cash to warrant the trade now? For me, it's a no.
Yeah. I'm on the other side. I think he can do well. I think some of these young blokes that have come through and played reserve, they're used to flary football, and they haven't had that for a couple of years. And there's a man. I know Reynolds is injured, but Ezra Mann's good there. I know he's got tries and stuff like that, but supposedly that's what he does. You know, he just finds a try line. I know Melbourne, and that's a tough game. But I can see him doing well for 17. If you pick him up now, I know you've lost 130K, but you're not going to lose money on the bloke to 18. You're easily going to make money to 18. You get him out. I know it's a risk versus reward thing, but you don't necessarily have to play him this week and next week. You can sit him if you think he's not going to score. But 17, bang, there's your half or your 5'8" that you haven't got.
Yeah, Glenn?
Yeah, look, I think it's on your reasoning as to why you would buy him. If you're buying him because you need money and you're trading down someone to get to him, I don't think it's a bad play. But we're all going to want to end up with Cleary, Hines there, and then Munster, Brown in our halves, or Munster, Walker, whichever way we go. So look, but having said that, his base is really good for a half. I think it's at 36, 37, was it? 35, sorry, which is pretty good for a half, you know what I mean? And I think versus the Storm, who are leaking, he could still get 50, 55. So he could go up another 96K realistically by 18. So there is money to be made there. I sort of lean with you, right, Aaron, as well. I think it's not a bad trade.
Yeah, there's been so many times where I've held off on a guy because I feel like I've missed the boat, and then it's bit me in the ass a few times afterwards, like that Talakai I mentioned earlier. I literally just can't get man. And you guys know my team, I've got too many gun halves in my team to warrant. I can't trade Jerome Hughes out. I'm not trading Munster out. I'm not going to be trading out Cody Walker or Cleary. That's because I'm not got Nick Hines at fullback. So I just can't get him in. So I do think it's team dependent. But if anyone is trading him in, which is obviously quite a lot, I don't begrudge him at all. I think he puts up a big score in 17. And if you want him just for that round and you don't want to play him the next 2 weeks, then that's fine. Because I think that big score is warranted in 17. And if you wait till then, you're going to be paying another 60 up to 100K more for him. So if you need to get him, it has to be this week, or prefer last week. But yeah, I don't begrudge anyone for getting him in this week. But as I understand, there's going to be issues with potentially low scores in the next 2 weeks. So if you're patient,
can he kick goals? Do we know if he can kick goals? Because if Staggs and Reynolds are out for round 17 and he's kicking goals, that's mint. That's absolute mint.
Doesn't Tyrone Roberts kick goals as well, though?
Yeah, he does. I don't know. I haven't seen much of Ezra Man, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like
his highlight reels are all just his crazy Cody Walker step and his speed. That's all you see. You don't see him kicking goals. You just see how good he is.
Yeah.
That'd be a bonus.
All right, guys. Number 4 traded in. I'll go to you, Glenn. I'm liking the look of this guy recently. That's Joe Tarpany. He's looking pretty good. What are your thoughts on Tarpany?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a head-to-head player, get on. But I mean, Lolo and Tarpany, I think you should have really done that before 13. If you're an overall player. So I mean, look, the guy's a beast. He's hard to put down. He's one of the better ones there. But at the moment, most of us have got IPAP, Haas, Lolo, Ming. So who's going to be going to Tarpany? Unless you've already got him, I don't see the point in it.
I think people are worried about paying us as double busted shoulders.
Yeah.
I don't know on the outs list, but he should probably be high up the outs list if those other 2 guys are on the ins list.
I'm looking at the list now for the most trades, and it's the biggest, most popular trade this week is Payne Haas out and Joe Tarpany in.
See, can I just say, if I was going to sell Haas this week, I'd be going to Offenhauer from the
Joe.
Yeah, have a look at his numbers over the last 4 weeks. Have a look at the Tigers bench, and it just screams Offenhauer. I mean, he'll give you everything that Tarpany's doing, if not more. And he's averaging 65 minutes. He's averaging between 60s and 70s. He's been great. And then you've got a round 17 number as well.
Yeah, I think the namesake. People are staying away from the namesake because people have had Joey O in the past. I think it was about 3 years ago that people brought him into their team to start the season with, and he was just terrible. And yeah, eventually you got to change the game and understand that people play different games and their style changes. And I think he's a great one to pick up this week.
Yeah, 65 minutes at lock in a Tigers side that defends a lot. It's a lot to like.
Well, he offloads and everything. He's chugged along lovely this year. I've watched Joe over the last 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And he's impressive, very impressive. Yeah, I'm looking at him. I'll probably upgrade Nat Butcher when it's time to a Joe or something like that, maybe, just to see at 17, and maybe it will hopefully be a pod still. I think the fear of Joe off of Hengawa is swayed a lot, especially old super coaches away.
Yeah, that's it.
So hopefully he stays under 10%.
I reckon he will too. I reckon. But I think I'll listen to a couple of podcasts today, including the one you guys put out last night as well. And there is a lot of mention of Joey O. And in saying that, it doesn't always translate to like tradings and stuff. But because there's a lot of mention now, people are going to watch him this week. And it may mean that next week they'll trade him more as well. So it may actually happen. But I'm really hoping he stays a bit of a pod because I'm looking at bringing him in myself. So. Alrighty, next on the list, my boy Bizza Toto. I'll go to you, Burgs. Would you bring in Toto this week, even though he's not playing the bye?
If I could, I would. He's just a machine, you know what I mean. And if, about heaven forbid, injury happens to May or something, he goes back to that side. He's better for it again. He's still doing his stuff on the right hand side. If we remember, we all found Brian Toto on the right hand side. When him and Mansour used to be just the most devastating wingers to kick to ever. Like, you didn't want to kick the ball there. So, yeah, I rate him. We all know he's a gun. Like, he's a gun. He's not as good on the right as the left, but for me, yeah, great get if you can get him, even though he's not playing 17.
Yeah, I think and his break even's 9, so it's like you almost have to get him this week if you want to get him in. And if you ask anyone about even 10 weeks ago, everyone would have said their final centre wing he was number 1 on the list. Him and maybe Garrick tied up there at the front there as the number 1 wingers to have. And I think what had happened over the last few weeks, he's only been playing on that right edge and he's been getting like 45s and 50s and hasn't been doing the work. But he's that guy, and we always know he's that guy that's always going to want to get involved. And that's what I think happened last week. He decided to get involved. He actually got more involved and had a crack. And actually, I think that's going to be the way he plays moving forward too. I'm really liking this Toto. He's one of my favourite players at the moment too, as a Panthers fan. So, alrighty. Number 6 on the trade-in list this week, I'll go to you, Ross Cleary. I didn't think he was that less owned. I thought everyone owned him. Your thoughts, mate? I think it's a weird. If you're going to bring him in, it's a weird time to bring him in.
This is a weird one. I don't understand why you'd be bringing him in this week. Like, he's gonna go to Origin camp soon. He's gonna miss 17 and then potentially reduced or not play 18 because I'm pretty sure he's gonna get a rest at some stage. I don't think that Ivan's gonna keep him running. I don't understand it. I don't get it. It's a weird trade. I mean, and who are people trading out to get him? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, are they trading out Drinkwater, which would be crazy because Drinkwater's got negative break even? Like, I don't get the trade. It doesn't.
Well,
I can tell you
it's a strange one. I get it. They're playing the Warriors this week, and people probably think he's going to go massive this week and captain him. I get it, but you're going to bring him in, and then he's not going to be playing potentially the next 2 games after.
You should have not owned him.
I don't know if these are people who have sold him previously and jumping back on now. I don't know. It's a strange one.
You'd have to think they're the people that sold him for high money, and they believe this is as bottom as he's going to get.
But even if they do, like, I know he's probably going to get a bit higher, but his break even is still 109 as well. So it's like it's still quite high.
He'll get that this week. Yeah.
We all thought Nico was going to go 140 this week as well.
I did.
So I know Cleary ain't no Nico either, but in saying that, I just feel like it's still a high break even. And remember what happened last time when we were like, "Oh, Cleary's break even's 130. Let's wait on him a week," and then he goes and gets smashes to 156.
He'll get about 30 points just in goals.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, he won't miss them like Nico. I did the maths. He missed 6 goals, right?
He would have scored about 80 points or something.
36 additional points to his actual score would be
he would have got 80 something. Yeah,
97 points he would have got.
Imagine that in a game that he didn't even really do anything in either. He was average to score 97 in a shit game.
Oh, that's hilarious. All right.
He just grieves SuperCoach.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. And on the list here, I'm surprised this guy isn't even higher. Probably because of his price. He's pretty expensive. I've had this guy for ages now. Campbell Graham.
Yeah, I mean, like Cleary, I mean, I wouldn't understand people that don't own him. Him and Mulatalo are just solid at the back. You know, they're safe and they both play 17. You know, Campbell Graham's been one of my best players. Get on.
I understand why people didn't know him. I've owned him for about about 7 weeks, and he's been killing it for me. But like, he's been 6% owned the whole time I've owned him. And I'm annoyed now because everyone's bringing him into that 17 buy. But I've had him for so long now, and he's been killing it. So I wish everyone would stop trading him in.
Who would you prioritise in the trading if you didn't have Mulatalo or Graham? Honestly, like they're both. Graham's obviously got the base, but I think Mulatalo's got the higher ceiling.
Well, Mulatalo's got a pretty good base too, mate. He was on 22 from doing nothing, and then bang, he's over for a try. Look, that's a hard one because Souths are left side dominant, Sharks are left side dominant, Penrith are left side dominant. The players like May, Mulatalo, AJ, and Graham are all players that are going to always see a lot of points.
Well, you could throw that AJ into that conversation too, then.
I just did
as well. That's what I'm saying in regards to prioritising them.
Yeah, that's right.
Who you get, like?
Yeah, I agree.
It's a hard one. You want to have probably 2 of them at least.
Yeah.
But,
I'm going to say now, I was like 17k short of getting Ronaldo last week, so I got Katoa in, and I don't regret it. I know Ronaldo would have been really good, but he got like about 30 points less for 100k cheaper. I was really happy with that.
Can I just answer Ross's question? So Ross said, who would you target now out of Graham and Mulatalo? So my answer to that at the moment is Mulatalo. And the reason for that is based on matchups. They play the Titans this week. They play the Dogs next week. And then they play a depleted Storm in the bye round, who are already got backs that are a bit suspect anyway. And so out of those two, I would probably go Mulatalo. And the other reason is that Graham's a slight chance of getting a berth in Origin as well.
It might be a bit slight, but it's definitely a slight chance.
Yeah,
still.
Slight.
It's a bigger chance than Mulatano.
That's for sure.
I'm going to say right now, from your argument there, I'm going to go Campbell Graham, and I'm going to say round 15 with the Dragons. Then he has Parramatta, who can't defend. They haven't been defending all year. So I know that they're a good attacking team, but the defence is terrible. In around 17, they've got the Newcastle Knights. In around 18, they've got the Bulldogs, and then they run into Melbourne in around 19. So that draw is actually a 4-game draw there rather than the 3-game draw that Mulatalo has. In saying that, I probably want to try and get both in as well. But they're the two on top of my list, both those guys.
Yeah.
So they play Bulldogs twice in 4 weeks, did you say? How do they do these draws? Seriously.
Oh, that's right. Burgs will tell you, Bulldogs are on fire now. There's no one getting any wins against Bulldogs.
I won't lose another game now. That's it. I'll flog the Tigers this week by 40. Don't worry about that.
When the Bunnies go left, they tend to go to AJ. When the Bunnies go, when the Sharks go left, they tend to go to Mulatalo.
Yeah, they cut out Talakai a lot and go to Mulatalo.
They do. But look, I won't just begrudge it. I agree with you, Dan. Both are good buys. And the fact that we're debating it says to you that, you know,
can't go wrong.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with either.
Where's the gift? Why not both?
That's right. Yeah.
That's
Why not both? Why not have both? I do.
All right, number 8 on the trade-in list this week. And this is a guy that I brought in pretty recently, and he's been killing it for me. And that's good old Molly Olakwadu. He's killing it right now. He's not playing 17, but without Turbo, bloody hell, he's looking good, getting his hand on the ball there. What are your thoughts on that, Burgs?
Had him since day one.
Yeah.
He's killing it.
Probably one of my best decisions pre-season. But yeah, he's gone from strength to strength this year. Gun status, man. He's only been around the game for 3 or 4 years or something too. Like, he's not been playing it since he was a kid. So he's only going to get better as his time progresses. I'd jump on at any stage. I don't care if he's not playing 17. There's a handful of dudes in that category this year.
Yep.
And he's one of them. So he's the David Fafita-ish of this year, you know?
Yep. Yeah, I think with Turbo out, you can just see they're not going behind him anymore to Turbo. They're going right to him, and he's knocking people over for fun. It's so good to watch.
Yeah.
Like, he's pumping through everything. Like, we saw glimpses of it 2 weeks ago, and then last week he just went berserk. So, when it comes to like round 17 preparation, I get it, but like this guy's a keeper for the rest of the season, no doubt in my mind. So you get him in, and let's have a look. His break even is like 22. So I feel as though now's the time to get on him now before you have to pay another 60,000 for him. So
I tell you what, as a Tigers fan, it was shit to watch, but as I like Wadu own, it was fucking brilliant. It was just so good to watch. He just tackle bust for fun, just unbelievable.
Yeah,
just destroyed. Just a gun.
All right, well, move on to number 9, traded in. We've already touched on him before, but Ross, Ronaldo Multalo, mate. I think you need to get him in.
Yeah, just get him in. Just get him in.
I got a question for you guys. I'll ask you all. The only way I can really get Multalo is if I wanted to trade someone out like May. Would you do that?
no.
Oh,
No.
Do you have Targo?
Yeah, I've got Targo, yeah.
So I'd probably get rid of Targo before May.
Yep.
It's a tough one. It is a tough one because Targo tends to give the ball, but the try assist of the try assist goes to the half normally. But he does get good points. But for me, if I have to get rid of a Penrith player, it'd be Targo just because May's going to get 4 or 5 tries one of these games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree as well, but I'm trying to also have the comeback as well that they're both averaging very similar at the moment, not too far off each other. And you got to think the duel as well with the Targo thing. I agree with keeping May over Targo, but there's a lot of people out there that they're torn between it, and they may actually use the tiebreaker as the dual positioning. And one thing I will say to that is there's so many duels this year. If you're running light on duels, do you need another one? That's what I'm going to say to that. So if you need Targo there, like most of us have had Aiken, most of us had Firma, Talakai is now good. There's just so many options. And then you've got the pods out there like Ghana as well. There's another duel as well. There's just so many duels out there. But I don't think it's necessary to base your decision on just duels. So,
yeah.
All righty then. So we're all agreeing there. Multalo, bring him in if you can. Last on the trading list, number 10, Sisafa Talakai. There's a lot of Sharks on this list here, Glenn.
Yeah, of course. I mean, again, he's dual. You can have him at second row, and he's doing just as good at second row as he is at centre wing. His value is at centre wing. If you're going to bring him in at centre wing. But I mean, Talakai, Targo, May, Mulatalo, Graham, I own them all, and they've all been, I wouldn't be selling any of them. If I don't own any of them, I'd be getting on them.
Yeah.
The problem that I have with mine is I brought in a sneaky little pod last week, and I'm kind of regretting it. Not too much though, because he's doing all right. That's Blake Brayley, just for that buy around. You got a decent 61 points, and I reckon he'll still keep getting those points every now and then. But he's my go-to to go from Blake Brayley in our 18 to Grant. So I wanted to have that player for now until I get to Grant. I got McInnes, I got Nico Hines, and I got Katoa. How many more Sharkies players can I get in my team without it getting too cray?
Get him Multalo, Kennedy as well.
Yeah, that was one I was thinking. That was Kennedy this week. I was going to go Russell out to Kennedy via Cooler.
If you remember years gone by, there's been times where you could have had up to 7 Penrith players, 5 or 6 Roosters. Anyone who seems to be in that top 5, 6 well-scoring clubs, it seems to be your team can be littered with those players unless they have the bad week, but they don't all tend to have a bad week. So it's been done in the past plenty of times. But for me, and I think that also goes on matchups too. Like if you get the matchups right, you're fucking sweet, especially if you got decent cover on the bench. But yeah, like for me, I don't know, I just like it.
Can I just mention McInnes? I don't like McInnes, and I want to tell you why. I think that the matchups that the Sharks have are quite easy matchups at the moment, which means that it's less base for McInnes. Having said that, they've got Finucane coming back in. I just see there's too many mouths to feed for me for him, and I think that could even reduce in minutes. But the Brayley one, I really like. I like him a lot. Actually, when we get to my tips, Brayley was my tip. Yeah.
No, I think I listened to the Burgs and the boys last night, and they were saying that a lot of his stats recently are becoming. He's getting a lot of line break assists and all these tiny little assists, which he's almost reliant on to get those. And then the only reason I really brought up the whole 20,000 Sharks players in my team is because they are going to have that terrible run very, very soon.
Yep.
They got, I know Melbourne's depleted, but then they got Panthers, and then they got Bulldogs and the Cowboys. Like, it's going to be a tough run for them after that. And I'm going to have to try to rest several of them and trade some of them out to get some other guns that I want to get. It's going to be a challenge if I have too many of them in there, and that was my issue. So I think McInnes keeps his minutes. But I do agree that you're right. I do agree that these easier matchups, he actually doesn't do as well. So I think he's one of the guys that I will keep for a little bit longer after round 18 while he plays those Penrith and Melbourne, all those teams. So, yeah.
Well, I think Glenn's Finucane back 16, 17.
Well, he's on the extended bench right now. So there's a chance he can play this week.
Yeah.
But I'm really hoping, and I believe that he gets thrown into the front row rotation. That could be more hope than wishful thinking, I guess, more than anything else. But I reckon Finucane being on the field, playing that hit-up role, I reckon he doesn't need to be in the middle in 13. I can he can do the same job he always does at number 10. So, all righty, guys. That's it for the top 10 trade-ins this week. We'll just brush over the trade-outs. I'll go to you, Ross. Would you be selling Payne Haas, mate?
It's a hard one for me. It's a hard one. I've been contemplating selling him, but I just can't get myself to doing it. I just think even if you get 50 to 60 minutes out of him, he's still going to score you well enough. I mean, for me, it's a hard one. I can get why people are doing it. I do get it. People are obviously concerned about now he's got 2 busted shoulders, but I'm holding, but I wouldn't begrudge anyone who's going to sell. Depends on who they're selling to, though, as well. So, yeah,
most to go on Tarpany. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a good chance that Payne Haas might get some rest after Origin too as well. So, but you're going to want to probably have him in your final team at the end of the day for the run home too. That's the thing. After Origin, you're probably going to want him. So, you know what I mean? So,
I'm on the other side. I'm on the other side here. I think I would definitely be selling, only because back in the day there wasn't many options in that front row position that you really had to replace him. And since he's on his first shoulder, his highest score was 62, and they've all gone down from there. 62, 60, he's like 40s and 30s. Like, and there's his other shoulder. I just don't see him being that gun. There's probably, if he keeps playing the way he is the next, say, 6 rounds, 7 rounds, he's going to be outscored by, I'm going to say, 6 or 7 more front rowers in that position that'll outscore him.
Yeah, and probably lose a ton of cash too.
Yeah.
Can I just say, just a sneaky, if you are going to want to go sideways from Payne Haas, where you just quickly would go around, who are you going to go to?
It's
I'd go to Joe,
in my opinion. I want to give you a little something here. Most people have got about 15 trades left, right? You're going to need 2 to get Pappenhausen, 2 to get Tedesco, and if you haven't got Grant, probably 2 to get Grant. So there's 6. That leaves you 9. You're going to mess around in the front row to get 10, 20 points more? Like it makes literally no sense. A week. I mean, or you could use that trade to go to a back or a ceiling player that could get you 40, 50 points more. Like, it's seriously, to me, it's a nonsensical play.
I think Paddy Carrigan's a safe option.
Yeah, look, he is, but I mean, again...
But he plays Origin too, so realistically...
I just think it's sideways.
If you've got the duels to go from Payne Haas to Mulatalo, I don't mind it, or something like that, or Campbell Graham or something. It's not a bad mood.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't be going like Payne Haas to Joe Offengoe or something like that. Like, that for me seems a bit sideways.
I agree, Ross. If you're doing it to a second row or a centre wing, even a fullback, it's a great play. But if you're doing it front row to front row, to me, it's sideways and nonsensical.
Yeah. I just don't see the point of having a guy that's going to probably average 50 for the rest of the season.
I don't believe he will.
I don't believe he will. You've seen how it's proven that he has with his shoulders. He's now got 2 messed up shoulders,
Right,
not just the
we'll
one.
revisit this at the end of the season and see.
Yeah, we keep saying that, Glenn, but we never do.
How about putting the succulent Chinese meal bet on this?
I'm still owed 2 meals by 2 different people, and they're both former winners. I still haven't got it.
Were they good?
I still think he can average 50.
I believe he'll
think he
average
can.
70, 55 to 70.
All right, I'll start doing the maths now. 55, 70 from now on. Okay, awesome.
From post Origin.
He will be rested every single game. He's going to be buggered.
All right.
All right, number 2, traded out. We'll go to Burgs. You and Aiken trying to get off him?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's time to upgrade to, like we've talked about, Cameron Graham or Ronaldo. Either one of those guys is a guy to go to. Or at a lesser extent, if you have the duel and he's up in your second row, maybe, go for a Talakai or something if you don't own. It's time for probably him as well again. But, yeah, other than that, I think it's a rough play, but I'd try to bring in me guns now, you know what I mean? Like whoever I'm bringing in for 17, there's no point really trying to make money. You know, Ezra Mann's probably an exception, but up there in your forwards and shit, you need your guns for 17 and beyond. And this is the time to be bringing them in.
Yep, think so. All right, move on to you, Ross. Burbo, mate, luxury trade or not?
I think it is a luxury trade, to be honest with you, and I'm presuming that this is probably going to Grant Anderson. I'm presuming but even that only frees you up 90k. So is it worth it? And also, hanging on to Burbo for the flexibility of the second row centre wing dual thing too. Being able to swap players up and down. Is it worth trading him out to make a profit of 90k? I don't think so, but. In saying that, I'm actually contemplating doing it this week just because it allows me to bring in 2 guns this week as well by doing the trade. And I'm just hoping that Grant Anderson's going to play 17. But if Pappy's out, isn't playing Origin, which I don't think it's looking like he is now, there's probably a good chance that Anderson probably won't play 17 if that's the case.
That's it. I'll say one thing to Glenn. One of our little deals we had later, we're going to revisit, mate, was that Burbo was going to not get put on the bench and play only a couple of minutes. So just 6 points. 6 points.
I haven't said that. I've said Burbo was never a buy.
No, we had a discussion a couple of weeks back. So this is why I don't do these deals, mate, because you forget what you say.
Write them down. Burbo was never a buy. Tass was never a buy. People was never a buy. They were the 3 I said. You should never. Mate, I don't own Burbo. I wouldn't go near him.
I'm just telling you because I did say that people trade him out, and you said he'd be a great enough to have. And I said, but what happens if he comes on and plays a couple of minutes? And you said, I don't think it's going to happen anymore.
No, you haven't listened. What I said was that if you own Burbo, I said that his durability would be helpful. But I said the fear of him is he's an AE nightmare. But look, and I stand by that.
It's the opposite of what you said.
Oh, fuck.
Dear.
Exactly what I said.
Oh, dear.
Burbo is durable, which means you can move him up and down. That's his flexibility. But him and I said the other one as well, Snyder, are both AE nightmares, and they are. Both come in on the bench.
All right, we'll move on to Glenn anyway. Xavier Coates, mate, definitely trade out now. Obviously,
I wouldn't have known Xavier Coates from the start, and I said that. I mean, although, that's one that has proved us wrong. He can score well, but yeah. Yeah,
unfortunately injured, so I won't see how much of him anymore, which is, I think it's 8 weeks, is it? I think he was gone.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right, Christian Tuapolotu, guys. I'll go to you, Burgs. Would you be trading him out? I think he's done his job.
Yeah, I think he has. I'm an owner. He's on my chopping block this week. So yeah, he's done his job. I did look at thinking about holding on to him because I thought he's in a decent side and he does an all right job, but I don't think he's that guy. You know what I mean? If I'm really honest to myself, he'd be over 500,000 if he was that guy.
Yeah.
But I think he's done his job, and it's time for him to get
Yeah,
shafted.
I think we were talking about this option as him being that guy for a while, and then I think we decided. I think the week after I think Timmy as well came on, and we all decided that maybe that guy is actually Sawali. And I think we're leaning towards Sawali being that guy that you can just keep for the rest of the season and play on matchups as well. I think that's a pretty good option. We were thinking, is it going to be Tuapolotu or is Sawali? And I think Sawali won that race. He's doing pretty good work. So
Yeah, well, I sold him last week, much of my sickness, but I got Katoni Staggs as that guy.
Oh yeah, that's always good to have. He's definitely a good guy to have in that spot. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's that guy for me at the moment. Like, he's not going to come out and blitz it every week, but that week he does, he goes well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still own Staggs, Burgs?
Yeah.
You holding him and hoping that he'll probably play 17. If Latrell's back and they pick him, surely Staggs is the one that goes, right? So he could be placed. He could be a good number for you for 17.
Well, I don't think he plays Origin again.
Mm-hmm.
For me, his involvement wasn't there. I know he's a defensive dude, but he, you know what? When he did run the ball, he got monstered, bro. Origin's different.
So you reckon he goes from Origin 2? You reckon Critter starts next game?
I think you have to. I think you have to have Nico either at 6 or on the bench, just for an option for Nate for kicking. If you actually watch the game, by the 65th minute, Nath was running the ball on the 4th tackle, getting tackled, leaving the no option. Someone else has to kick that ball. So, and I felt that was the Queensland plan, just rush Nath because there's no other option on the field.
That's it. And bloody worked, unfortunately.
I think that's what shut New South Wales down. I think it was the holding down in the ruck. To play the balls was so slow. And I mean, I know people don't want to believe that, but the ruck speed of the game was phenomenally slow. New South Wales didn't adapt, and that cost them. And the leg speed again in the middle for Queensland was just much better. So they were deserved one. Yeah.
For me, it was all over after 20 minutes after Carrigan and Grant came on, just completely dominated us.
Yeah.
We never sort of come back from that. I think we did all to get as close as we did.
Well, when Borley ran 30 metres for 3 runs, I mean, what's the point of him being in the team?
Liam Martin wasn't much better either.
Yeah, and just on Latrell. Latrell's already been ruled out by South Sydney for Origin.
So that's game 2. He'll be there for game 3.
That's
He'll
right.
play game 3. Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah, that's right for game 2. Which
Speaking of Origin and South Sydney, and this is a bad segue. Sorry, Blake Taff I'm leaning towards. So,
I was going to say, what's Taff got to do with Origin?
No, I was thinking about Latrell playing Origin and Taff getting a spot. But even if he does play Origin, he doesn't get a spot anyway. So, I think no arguments here with trading out Taff.
Nah, he should have been gone a while ago now, I think.
Yep.
Done his job.
Yeah, I think one thing I will say is I'm not a biggest fan of buying Ezra, but you're actually downgrading Taff to Ezra. I'm
that trade I can get. I get that 100%.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even get much money out of it, would you? What's Taff now?
390. So
you get 80K or something.
Yeah.
Better than nothing.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Tafe will drop out of the team probably when Latrell comes back. But
and Cody will go back to the bench as a utility,
He's another one that could be an AE nightmare. One of the ones that I do remember saying that was Ilias, that I thought that he would average really well. That didn't pan out the way I thought it would.
But when you did say that, though, he was starting to get better. Like you could see it in his NRL game. So I was like, I'll root for you in that one.
I've been trying to sell him for the last 2 months, and then the other issues just keep coming up, and somehow I've still got him in my team.
I said he'd make 400K and he'd average 55 to 60. He's only about.
So you're the jinx. So you jinxed him, Glenn. Thanks.
Yeah, I killed him.
Appreciate that.
I killed Ilias.
I won't play him this week, and he'll get 100.
Yeah. All right, we'll move to number 7. Go to Ross. The Ame Balea for the Warriors. Would you be trading him out?
He's busted. He's gone, isn't he? For a couple of months or something, isn't he? With a broken jaw or something, isn't he? So he's got to go.
I think it was like 6 weeks from when he did the injury. That's what I was told initially, but I haven't had anything since at all. So I'm not sure.
I just feel sorry for those who held him, hoping he was going to play 13 and then he didn't even play round 13. So.
But one of the
Yeah, I was pretty happy. I traded him out for like Tupolatu or something early in the piece. I was pretty happy with that trade.
I think the people that are trading down to Anderson this week are probably trading him out for that
Yeah, probably
10K. But I mean, one of the pluses to holding him is I got 24 playing players, and a lot of people, that's their NPR. And Warriors have been playing late in the round, so he's been a handy NPR for those that want to loop. But there is money to make there, down to an Anderson or a Peoples. But
it's talking about looping. It's nothing like last year, is it? Like, we haven't seen many loops happening this year. Like,
or last year, don't loop last year. Turbo.
Last year we looped like 150, and then Turbo would come out and get 200. So
3 times I got stuffed by looping last year. Turbo did it every time.
All right, we'll go to you, Glenn, for the next one. Hill and Lukey, no question here. He's injured ACL, gone for the season, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So he's getting traded out now.
Done his job. I'm surprised people owned him, to be honest. I mean, but yeah, he's done his job. He's made his money.
He did come, like, a lot of people traded him out, and then they brought him back in when he went on a little run recently before his injury, and that's probably why he's being traded out so highly at the moment, because he had a bit of a good solid run for a while there. Kind of went unnoticed, really, but he did do pretty good. So
he did. It's just that I was so nervous with that. They had so many second rowers in that position, didn't it? They were kind of moving around with so Nemo, was it Namai?
Neme, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, and Nanai. All these names are coming out now. They're hard for an old man to say.
They've got some good talent there, haven't they? Though, like Lukey looks like a gun too, as well. Like,
yeah, he is a gun.
They've got a good pack. They certainly surprised a lot of us this year, the Cowboys. I know I had them coming like near last.
Just took Lucci off your hands too.
Well, that's not official yet either, apparently, because there could be Salacat grammars with that one too. So
on 360,
it may not even be happening.
So on 360 tonight, they said what they want to do is they want to wait till he plays the Samoa game first to make sure there's no injury from that, because otherwise they've got him on the books, won't get to play all season, and then they could be paying for a busted player. Good. And they've had to do some shuffling to be able to afford him in. So he'll be signing on the 1st of August. Yeah.
We should have kept him and played him in reserve grade for the rest of the year.
100% agree, mate. I've been having a running argument with someone on Twitter from 360. What's his name? That Brent Reed over him.
But you could see watching the game against Manly, like he bombed a try. He just made no effort. He gave away stupid penalties. You could tell he didn't want to be there, and I'm surprised that bloody Kamali didn't hook him.
Yeah,
I would have hooked him. Honestly,
it was disgusting.
Oh mate, as a fan, it's hard to watch. Let me tell you that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Alrighty, guys. I think we've been going on too long for the trade out, so I'll just mention the last two quickly here. Luke Keary and Jackson Hastings being traded out. I can't really argue with that at the moment. I guess Luke Keary not playing in the bye there, and then Jackson Hastings is, I think, with Dewey back, is a bit of fear there, I guess.
I can't believe that people still own Luke Keary.
And
been a sell weeks ago.
Hastings will play 17. Just quickly say that. So, but I mean, he's lost the goal kicking, which makes it,
He's another one. The last couple of weeks, it just doesn't seem to be very interested either. So even if he does play 17, I'd be, depending on who you go to, I'd be reluctant to sell him anyway, to be honest with you. So, yeah.
Alrighty, guys, let's move on to the next segment today. So, Glenn, you got a list of players there. You got top player for each position. I want to start with, or you start wherever you want, mate.
Yeah, okay. So I just went through and decided to pick someone that I thought, if you're looking for around 17 players. So I went Brayley for number 9. I think that he's been playing 80 minutes, although Finucane worries me that McInnes could go to 9 and take some of his minutes if Finucane does come through the lock area. Offenhow was my front row choice. I like Barnett now that he's moved to second row. And I also, a little pod one would be Lane. He's been playing 80 minutes on the left edge for the Eels, if anyone hasn't noticed. And Garner now with Luciano Leilua out could be a sneaky pod option as well. Moses, Brown, that's halfback 5'8". In the centre wing, I've got a couple there with Mulatalo, Graham, Talakai and Lomax. And then fullback, Gutho and Edwards. And then I've actually written a couple of...
Edwards.
Dylan Edwards.
He's not playing,
Penrith have the bye.
Yeah, scrap Edwards, guys.
Okay.
Sorry about that. It's actually Kennedy. but I've got it written here in value picks. So people that you want to pick if you're trying to save a bit of money. I originally wrote Nicarima, but don't do that now with Latrell coming back. He'll go to the bench. Molo, I don't even like anymore either. But Tuolagi, just watch his minutes and see how he plays. Look, he was busted through the season, but he is, if you're trying to save money and get around 17 player that could play 80 minutes, is Tuolagi. Mam, if you're looking for money to save. Anderson, I don't like him, but it's some of you really need money. But the best one I like is Kennedy. At 360k, you could swap a koala to him and add 30k in a side with a good draw playing 17. That's it.
Yeah.
Just
I like Kennedy too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say just quietly right now, I was one of those unlucky guys that didn't have a chance to sell Tuolungi. I've been trying to sell him for ages. I still got him, and now that he's named, I'm like,
are you serious?
Play him this week. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I haven't played him. I haven't needed to play him. Obviously, I haven't been looping or anything, so I'm fine with that. But he's lost a bit of money. Well, I bought him from the start, so I haven't lost any money at all. I've actually gained 30k. But yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it. I reckon, as we all know with him, he was very not match fit. He was getting injured, getting bumps and all that kind of stuff. Maybe that role from the bench really helped him a little bit, get some match fitness up before he plays a bit more minutes. I'm hoping again, I'm more hopeful. But he's got such a good-looking game. If he just lived up to his potential, he could be a bloody gun. But I just don't see it happening just yet. It might be a few years down the track. So,
Yeah.
All righty. Glenn, you said you got some questions there for us, mate. Any other questions?
Yeah, mate. So 3 questions. So Graham Stirring at Tigers on Twitter, he's asked for a 17th, I need to choose between Apai and McInnes. So I'll ask you, Dan, what do you think between Apai and McInnes?
Well, Apai's not playing 17.
No. Sorry, for this round.
Oh, this round?
For this round, he needs to pick for his final 17th player.
Okay, let's have a look, CA. Let's have a quick look. I'm going to say, I think Appy against the Warriors, they tend to, especially with, they leak a lot of points in the middle. I think Appy might, I only have McInnes, so I'd really want McInnes to do well, but I think Appy actually outscores him this week. I'd pick Appy for sure. Yeah,
well, I actually thought of Apai myself. I think he adds a higher ceiling, but I'll give you an interesting stat that the Warriors actually are 14th in leaking in the middle to front rowers and second rowers, but they do leak to fullback, centre wing, and 5'8". So, but I still think that I can see a scenario where Apai gets an attacking stat. McInnes, he'll give you 55 to 60 base. So I'm with you, mate. I agree on Apai.
Only thing I'll say with that, when you dive down into the leaking points for the Warriors, one thing I always forget to do myself is break it down to the 5-week average rather than the whole season. Yeah. Because with AFB and Lodge back in the middle there, they did leak a lot less points in the middle. So over time, if you average that without those guys there, it actually might be a bit more points going through the middle for them as well.
And that's actually fair. Since Aiden Fanua-Blake have gone and Lodge, they've looked a completely different football side, haven't they?
That's it.
Yeah. And so the next question was, I'll give this one to you, Aaron. Is it too late to buy Mam? We've already sort of answered that, but still give your feedback.
Yeah. Again, it comes down to the makeup of your side. For me, if I didn't have him and I needed to get rid of a Taft or an Ilias even to a lesser extent, or I just think that'd be the only way I go. I wouldn't be trading a certified gun for him.
No.
Yeah, that's right. If it's for money. So, and the last question I'll give to you, Ross. So he said, is Tohu Harris a sell?
Yeah, I think he is. He hasn't been scoring that great. I know he's probably just coming back from a pretty serious injury, but also doesn't cover around 17. So for me, yeah, I'll be selling him.
Yeah, I agree. And I just want to say one last thing. I've never sworn on any of our pods ever. So I just want to apologise to our viewers for swearing this week. I've never done it before on a pod. So I had
my bad.
Yeah, it's Aaron's influence.
Yeah.
I'll say Hail Marys at church this weekend.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Yeah.
That's all the questions.
Awesome. All right, guys, before we finish up, we'll go around the grounds, talk about our trades of the week. If you don't mind sharing, Burgs, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm looking at Tulipulo to Mulatano or Graham. I am looking at both of those guys. Graham's my only worry is Origin, but I don't think he'll get there. Might crack it as a 19th or 18th man for one of the games though, which is scary. Whereas Mulatano won't, but he's got 4 tough games in a row, which sort of sways me off. But if you're willing to hold on through them 4 tough games, them next, I think 5 games is just dreamy as shit for that guy. So he could be one that if you're scared to play him, maybe wait until the end of the 4 rounds and you pick him up that little bit cheaper. But you are going to miss out on the next 2 weeks of good rounds as well. And he will probably turn up, so.
That's it. Like the sounds of those. All right, move on to Ross, mate. What trades are you looking at this week, mate?
Well, it's not 100% certain yet, but I'm going to probably use a boost this week, and I'm possibly looking at Silly Tupanua out, Ben Travojevic out, and who was the other one? Api Coruscant out, and Blake Bailey in, Grant Anderson in, and Mulatalo in, but not 100% sure yet. Still not sure about that Anderson trade, so yeah, see what happens.
Yeah, there's a bit of a one. It's a bit nerve-wracking. I did that trade myself just to have a good look at it, and it was nerve-wracking having him there. It's
just that, like, I've already been stuck with all this dead wood. Like, I've got tasks sitting in my team, and I've got people sitting in my team that I probably jumped on too early, and I don't know if I want to have another. Look, it'd be great if I knew he was playing 17. It'd be straight on it because I don't mind having him playing 17. Then he nuffs out. That's perfect for me. But it's just the not unknown whether he's going to play. So yeah, I'm not sure yet.
All right, Glenn, you're right, mate. What trade you doing?
Yes, so my trades this round are more about putting money in the bank. So I've put 210K in my bank this week to build up a bit of a cash towards Pappenhausen. So I've brought in Aiken to Barnett from Newcastle Knights, and I've sold Valier, however you say his name, to Anderson. My original trade was to people so that I could bring down Talakai into my centre wings with the rest of what I got there. But I think Anderson's more a chance of playing than Peoples based on the extended benches that we've seen. But I'm sort of buying Anderson more about money, not about a 17 player. So, yeah, Barnett's my only real buy.
Just quickly on Anderson, I had a thought way back then, but we moved on when we were talking Anderson. Could people be buying him just as enough, but even if he does play, he's going to come on and score okay?
Yeah.
He could just be your nuff. You think, I'm nuffing out this guy, and if he does play, he's a chance of scoring tries, so it's not a bad enough to have.
Yeah,
it's not like a sorry, I'm just choking here a little bit. Taff, for example, where if he does get named, he starts on the bench and plays 30 minutes, 20 minutes at max. He's that guy. If he does play, he's playing 80 on the wing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
in a high scoring side.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like the opposite. It's like kind of like Staines, but Staines is crap. So.
Well, for me, Valier was my NPR, and I look at him and I think, at that price point, there's money I could take off him. And I'm really trying to build a case towards Pappenhausen. So that's the only reason I went Anderson, just so I could take that money, put it in the bank, and be closer to my mark of getting Paps.
Yeah.
Like it. Well, I'm not sold on my trades just yet. I'm looking to. My first trade I did was going to be Russell out and bring in Andy into fullback. And then my other trade was going to be Aiken out for Kwamatangi as an option. I can also afford to get probably more likely to get Talakai, but I'm just a bit nervous having that many Sharks players in my team. And I do like the pod factor of Kwamatangi as well. He hasn't been overly breaking the world down right now, but he has the capability of doing so. So I was thinking just for a bit of a pod factor, yeah, killer. He's doing all right. So other than that, I may even just go the one trade this week and, yeah, save some trades that might be valuable towards the end of the season and start making some cash. So
I really like the Kennedy trade, mate.
Yeah, well, I'm getting a player that I'm not even using right now, and I'm bringing in a guy that his break even 55. It's not like massively low, but he just smashed a 76 out. So, and yeah, he's only going to go up from here, I reckon. So I like Kennedy. Moving on, we'll go to you, Burgs. Vice captain and captain choices. I think the captain's pretty obvious, but we're looking for vice captains.
Yeah, Naif's probably the guy for captain choice this week. As for vice captain, probably come down to matchups. I like to do it on the Thursday and Friday game. So, who's got that? It's pretty garbage. Maybe if you have a Cowboys drink water or
Garrick.
Yeah, Garrick from Manly is another good one. In saying that, I don't expect the Cows to leak many points. So Garrick might have a bit of an off week. Although, also, if you have and can manage to get fucking Pappenhausen and he plays, then he is your vice captain. 100%. If you can get the 900 or if you're like Con and held on, get him, vice captain him. If not, balls up and flat out captain him if he plays. He's coming back firing, mate.
Yeah, I'm hoping that he does the same thing happened last year and plays off the bench, but I doubt that's going to happen. So I think he's going to come back and they're going to want to try and fight for that minor premiership. And I think we're like 4 points ahead at the moment with a bye to come. So
yeah.
All right, Ross, your captain choice and vice captain, mate.
Our captain's going to be Cleary, definitely, and VC will either be probably Mulatalo or Hines.
Yeah. Okay. And Glenn.
Yeah, well, Ross just stole my thunder. I was going to say Mulatalo or Hines was my VC, and that Cleary is just an obvious C. And just on Pappenhausen, he 100% won't play this round, guys. He's got COVID.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, forgot about the COVID.
100% out until Tuesday. So, but another one that I didn't mind, by the way, is if you've got a South, Cody Walker, or even Campbell Graham, they could be a good pod VC as well. Or even Murray.
AJ, anyone.
Well, AJ, definitely, if you have AJ.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I think your VC should be for. You shouldn't be going with the grain with your VC. You should be looking at a matchup with that pod player that you think's going to go large, that no one else is really running, and it's sort of like, well, this is my week, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas if everyone's doing it, it's sort of like,
Well, also, too, there's no point in going a VC for a safe play. You want someone with that high ceiling that's going to be potentially score enough to loop. Like, I know I played against a bloke last week who VC'd AJ and he looped him, which, of course, you would. It's 120 points in the bank, but they're the sort of players that you want to, you know, that you want to put the VC on, because otherwise you're basically wasting the free loop. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of which, so I'm going to obviously captain Nathan Cleary this week, but I'm going to VC Katoa from the Sharks. That right edge from the Warriors is leaking more tries than any other bloody edge in the comp. So I'm really hoping Katoa goes hard. And yeah, a lot of guys will be doing the Mulatalo thing, which he's probably still going to go pretty well. He's a gun. But I'm like hoping Katoa actually outscores Mulatalo this week, make my trade worth it.
So given that Cleary plays the Warriors this week, what would you want your VC score to be viable to loop? Because for me, you'd want to be at least 150, wouldn't it?
No, I mean 120. If I had 120, I'd be looping it. You're always going to loop 120. It's just smart. You never know what can happen in a game. It's money in the bank. But look, I get it. I hear what you're saying. And it also is weighed up with what your AE is. So if you've got an AE, the lower your AE is, the higher you want your loop to go. So you know, if you've got someone under 30, you sort of deduct the point. So if they're 20, then you want to go up to 30, if that makes sense. 130. If they're 10, you want to go up to 140.
And then you've got to look at who you're going to take out of your team too as well.
That's right. Yeah.
So
that's right. And at this point, we're leaving players on the bench with points. So it's very hard to remove someone from our side.
Yeah, I think last week a lot of complaints about the quality of the benches, wasn't there? Some big scores on the benches. So
everyone was. I think everyone was pretty much in the same boat. Though.
Yeah, we all had big points on bench.
That's it. All right. One last thing before we head off, guys. We'll go around the grounds, do our little bold predictions there. So I'll start with you, Glenn. I normally go you last. So I'll go you first this time.
I'm going to go Mulatalo 120. I just think that this is the game match for him. And I'm going to go Kick Out to turn up as well. That's pretty
So-
boring, isn't it? I'm going to
It's
go
pretty boring,
Ghana.
mate. I was about to say, when you said
all
bold
right.
predictions, mate.
I'm going to
that's
go Ghana to get 80 plus for the Tigers, and I'm going to go Ming to go 70 plus. There you go. They're my tips.
Okay, so 2 things that happened last week. Okay,
Yeah.
so you have to get all 4 of those things to happen for yours to be actually correct. All right, cool. Awesome.
I just think there could be some good Supercoach points in that Bulldogs Tigers game.
That's it.
Yeah. So, all right, Burgs. Any? You don't need to pick as many as Glenn, mate. But anything you think's gonna happen this week might be bold.
I'm going to go Hamali Olakuwadu to go back-to-back hundreds.
Back
I
to
like
back to
that.
back. He's on.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I like it a lot.
Yeah, me too.
And I like a lot of things that Glenn said too. I've got most of those guys on my team as well. So if that all that happens, everyone gets their bold prediction. I'll be stoked.
Also, Talon May might get 4 tries this week.
I'll put it past you, mate.
It's possible.
Mm.
Uh,
And I will say before, like I didn't mention before, when I was talking about my VC, and I actually meant that Cleary would actually pass the Toto because of the Warriors have their weakest right hand, the weak at defending the right hand wingers. So
Yeah.
I think Toto actually has a chance to get 4 tries this week as well. So
Yeah.
alrighty, and Ross, mate, your bold prediction, mate.
all right, here we go. So both the Sharks wingers to turn up. We'll go that in there. We'll lock that in. Lock in Toe for 102. And lock in Carraz for 100 this week too as well, I reckon.
Another 100. Oh yeah, against Tigers, I guess. It's not that much of a challenge.
Thanks, Dad.
I'll normally go really, really bold. And I was about to say I won't this time, but I will. I'm going to say Katoa is going to get 140 exactly with 4 tries. So
Normally like to not jinx your own players and put your own players in your bold
yeah, but
prediction.
that's done nothing to help me this year. So I don't care. I don't believe that there's no longer a thing as a jinx anymore. Because even when I don't jinx them, they're still crap. So I don't care anymore. May as well just have a crack.
I reckon that Ezra Mam will get 55 plus versus the Storm. I reckon that'll shock a few people.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think Moses Sully will run 200 metres this week.
Just
Do you want to add
quiet.
anything else? Do you want anything else to that, Glenn, as well? You want
Yeah, I'm just thinking if I can add all that on a trifecta.
to?
I will just say quietly though that you mentioned Sully. He's going under the radar quite nicely at the moment as well.
Yeah,
He's looking bloody good NRL wise. I haven't looked at his Supercoach score. I'm looking at his tackle bust and line breaks. I'm just like, this could bloody. I have to have a look at him, I reckon, because I think he's quietly going under the radar. So
It's a good bet in the play performance too on Sportsbet.
all right, guys, that wraps everything up. Is there anyone else want to say before we go?
Thanks, Darren.
Thanks for having me on, boys. It was a good night. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
No, all good, mate.
Thanks
It's
for
all
coming
good.
on, Burgs.
Yeah,
Always
thanks.
good to have you.
And sorry, Dan, for being stroppy.
That's all right, mate. I'm used to you, old fart. All right, all right, guys. Thanks heaps for joining us again this week. We'll see you next week again, and hope you'll get green arrows this week.
I want to win. I want that trophy. I want that trophy. I want that trophy.